So, this is the fourth and final piece to making your own fully realized animation. Now, all the hard work is basically done at this point. We have our animation, it's fluid, it's got nice in betweens, the movement is solid, everything about it is exactly how we want it to be, right? So, now we're going to get into setting up the actual arena, the actual place that your character is living in. Now, I'm going to show you two very quick different methodologies for how we can do this, and then we're also going to talk about lighting and camera. So if you remember back in our very first video, we had turned off the eyeball here, the visibility of our camera, as well as the two pre-made lights. Now we can always add more lights if we want to, and then we can also see what this is going to look like by changing these four little circles down here, these little spheres. They let us see a little bit better of what the image will look like with fully realized lighting, right? So I can change over here all the way up to our full rendered model, which right now doesn't look like a whole lot of much. So we need to work on our light source, we need to work on our room design and everything else. So let's go on back here. Okay. Now, if you already have a room design that you want to use, by all means go on ahead and import it. I have a chair that I'd like to have my character maybe flip over, right, like that, hop there, maybe there's a second chair there, like two chairs just kind of sitting in place. So I'd like to import those. So to do that, I'm going to go up to File, and then there's a lot of different options here. You'll see that there's one that literally says import. However, in this case, what we want to do is actually pull in a new file. So I'm going to append from my library. So let's do that. Here's my desktop. This is where I have everything saved. You can see I was working on a quiz as well. And right there is chair01.blend. So I'm going to append that file. Now, in here is a number of different elements. So for example, if your room design, you may want to choose to actually import your room if you want to import everything, all the lights, all the everything. In my case, I don't really want that. I only want the model of the actual chair, right? What's actually been created. So I'm going to go ahead and import that. And this is the chair as I had already previously created. It's only the actual figure, the cube that I have manipulated into place. You'll also notice that it's totally upside down and way, way too big. So let's go ahead and with that cube selected right there, we're going to go ahead and rotate this guy because he is the wrong way here. So let's do this. Just grab that file, whoop, and around it goes. And all right. That looks pretty good. So now, like I said, he is rotated correctly. That's good. But there is a problem because he is definitely still got some troubles. He is way too large. This chair is massive for our character. So we can scale him down. I'm going to click in the white circle so it scales uniformly. Oops. Try that again. Click in that white circle. There we go. Scales uniformly. Just like so. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe a little bit more. Oop, now it looks too small. Okay, let's move him. And let's see, that looks, that's about the right size for a chair. What do you think? That character could easily fit inside of that chair. So let's just move that into place. Now keep in mind, we still have our keyframing on. Now we don't really want this chair to move necessarily, so we're just going to basically be staying on frame 0 for our keyframes here. We don't really need this chair to move. But if you had a prop that was moving, obviously you would want to change that around. All right, that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to line up our animation. Let's see. Here comes our character. He jumps. So really this chair on frame 0 should probably be closer to right about here. What do you think? So let's go back to frame 0. Let's move this chair right about there. Let's see if he runs into it. He jumps. Ooh, you know what? I think that worked. Yeah, he's just clearing that chair, isn't he? Looks pretty good. Let's move it a little bit over, I think. Be a hair back. Okay. Let's see that. So here he comes. He jumps. He clears the chair. Oh, look, his foot's going through it right there. So maybe right about here, what if we animated the chair so it's almost like he knocked it over, right? So we'll say right about here, what do you think? Frame 60, where are we at? 64, 60, about 65. Okay. So this is where we want to lock in our object. So I'm just going to go ahead and set a keyframe at this point over in my bottom right hand corner. This is my transform. So I'm locking in the rotation, the scale, I'm locking in everything. So everything right there has a keyframe. So from here to here, that chair doesn't move. But right around frame 66 or so, he knocks it over. Now what direction he's knocking it over, let's see. Looks like he's going to topple it maybe on this side here. So physics would dictate it's going to kind of flop over, right? He's knocking it down. So by the time he lands, we'll say right about here, we'll have it where the chair has rotated to its side, kind of like that, and it's also fallen over onto the ground. And it's not going to fall straight up and down, it's going to kind of fall off to the side, right? So it comes down, and maybe whenever it lands, because he's hitting it on the back side, right? So maybe right about here, let's see, right about here, maybe he's rotated it just a hair, kind of bonked it on its side a little bit. Like that. So it kind of rotates, he knocks it over, and it falls, and maybe there's a little recoil, right? Like it hits the ground, kind of bounces back up for a little bit. And then it lands, what do you think, back down. Okay. Alright, so let's check that out. Oops. Get out of there. Alright, so here he is. He jumps. He knocks it over. Blump, blump. And it lands kind of with a thud. Blump, blump. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's zoom out. Now, I want to also put another chair in here. I also want to set up a room, right? So if you don't have a room that you are already happy with, if you want to change things around, right? Maybe you want to make a room brand new just for this design. You can always do that too, very simply by adding in a new element, right? So right now we're kind of in the default mode. I'm going to go ahead and hit Tab, and that's going to switch me over into my edit mode, right? From Object into edit mode, right? And that allows me to change and edit this design, which we can do in a second. So I also want to go ahead and let's do add mesh. I'm going to add a plane, and remember a plane is just a flat two-dimensional kind of sheet of paper. I can use my scale tool to stretch this out. Use my move tool here. And let's see. This is all going to be on frame 0, because again, the room isn't going to move, right? So he starts out, let's see, make sure the room's big enough for him. Okay. He starts out there, he jumps, knocks over the chair. Look, our chair's kind of going through the floor. We better fix that in a little bit. He lands down. Actually, he's going through the floor. You know what? Let's move the whole floor down just a little bit. There we go. Jumps, knocks it over, lands, down, pushes up, he flips, and he's way over there, isn't he? So we have to extend this room a little bit more. A good idea, something that you could think about maybe, is what if we just made the room massive, right? So what if we just went really, really big with it? We'll put walls up in the other directions wherever we need them to start and finish. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to set up another one. I'm going to do add mesh. This time let's do, we'll just do another plane. I'm going to move it up, whoop, like so. I'm going to rotate it, whoop, just like that. And again, if you ever want to be really precise, look down here in our numbers, right? I can rotate it exactly 90 degrees, so that works just as well. I'm going to move it so that it's kind of behind him. And again, I want it to be just large enough here. Let's make it nice and tall, and let's make it nice and wide. Okay, looking pretty good. Again, let's do that once more. We'll do one side wall. We don't have to make an entire room. You can if you want to, but we're probably only going to see a little bit of it. So we'll do add a new plane. Just like before, we can rotate. We're going to rotate on the x-axis. So again, let's do 90 degrees. Let's scale it so it's big, big, big. It's going to end up being very long. This time let's rotate it as well on the z-axis. Oops. like that. And let's move it into place. Perfect. Okay. So now we've got 3 walls here. And whenever I play it out, he takes his jump, knocks it over, lands, pushes, flips, and ta-da! And he's inside the room the whole time. Okay. So that all works. So our room is set up. Now the next thing I want to start thinking about is my light sources. Now there's some point lights already built in to this particular model. I'm going to go ahead and remove those simply for no other reason than I want to start fresh. You are welcome to use those though if you would like to. To add in a new light source, you just do add, just like we did for mesh, only this time we're going to do add light, and there's different types of light. There's a point light, which is more like a very fine, tiny little pinpoint of a light, a sun, which is just ambient light, a spotlight, which is exactly what you think it is, kind of like a big spotlight in real life, and an area light. We probably won't use this as much. That's more for like an ambient glow. So if you had a sword that gave off some kind of light, you could fit that area inside of the sword and it would have a glow to it, right? All right, so let's do a point light. So this is, again, just kind of a single light source. If you want to see exactly what's happening, we're going to switch over these spheres real quick, and then I'll show kind of our main, there we go, our main light source. And I can see how he's casting a shadow, and the closer I move, right, see that? It's actually giving off a light. So let's do this. We want to go over to our properties menu, and there's one that looks like a little light bulb. And here's 0.02, that's our point light. 0.02 is what we're working with right now. And I can actually come down in here and I can tell it how much power it has, so I can make it a little bit brighter. I can tell it how to diffuse, or I can change the color of the light if I want it to be literally like a different color. That's kind of neat. We can play around with this a lot. I'm gonna make it just a hint yellow, I think. Just a little bit yellow. Or you know what, let's do a little bit blue instead. Kind of a cool light. It looks pretty cool. Right, look at those cast shadows, look really nice. Right, so as he jumps, here he goes. Look at that shadow. Woo! He jumps right through the light. Let's move that so it's a little bit higher up, I think. That way he doesn't hit his head on the lamp, even though we don't see it. Here he goes, up and down. Oh, he knocked over the chair. There he is, but now he's in darkness again. I think we need to add another light source just to fill the room. So let's do add light. This time let's do, what do we want? Let's do a spotlight. Let's see what that looks like. Whoa. And again, we can change the intensity, the power, right? Maybe he starts out and he's in a direct spotlight here. Pretty cool. And then you know what's cool? We can come over here and we can actually copy and paste and have 2 spotlights. Look at this. One for where he starts. Let's do that. And then one for where he ends. Just right about there. Right, so let's see if that's about right. Oh, I'm a little bit off. Okay. Just a little bit more. Okay, so we've got 2 spotlights. We've got 1 light kind of above the chair so we can make sure to see that. Here he goes. He jumps, casting a really cool shadow. He leaps through and whoop-ah, into the spotlight, and then gives his little thumbs up. Now we can also set up a 3-point light if we want. Maybe we want some ambient glow to just the room in general. So let's do one more, add light, and this time we're going to do a sun. Now the sun is going to fill just the whole place. It's just going to really kind of brighten everything. Makes everything just a little bit lighter than it probably would be. We can change the intensity of the sun. We can change the color of the sun. Maybe there's a little bit of yellowish to it, or whatever color we want. Okay. So now we've got a little bit of light overall. He knocks over the chair. Notice how he's got multiple shadows because there's multiple light sources. The computer's doing all that for us. There he goes into the spotlight. And ta-da! Okay. So our room is set up. Our light is set up. The final thing is going to be to animate our camera. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to save this video real quick. We're going to make a separate video for how to render as well as how to animate just the camera. So check back for our second video on how to animate the camera.